All right, Rabbi, good morning. It is a schus Baruch Hashem to chop in a little bit of Tzidkas HaTzaddik. We'll get today, maybe tomorrow, depending on how long I think the daf will take us. But at least always good to chop in a little bit of inspiration from the Rebbe whenever we can. So back to Rav Tzadok. So we are up to Os Hey, which is page Yud. I posted a copy of it on the chat as well. So remembering, just to reorient ourselves a little bit, we've been speaking about extensively, and we've had a little bit of a break over the last Slichas, Tshuva. So the Rebbe was talking about the idea of creating God awareness. And there were essentially two primary mechanisms for the creation of God awareness. One, of course, was brachas, Baruch Atah Hashem, speaking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That brings HaKadosh Baruch Hu into my daily awareness, my daily cognition, and Kriyas Shema. Kriyas Shema, of course, again, has the power of creating God awareness when I sleep and God awareness when I'm awake. In Sif Hey, in Os Hey, the Rebbe follows up on this concept. And then again, we also spoke about the idea of why it is that we speak about, of why we start, why does the Torah start, and why does a Bar Mitzvah Bacher, his first mitzvah is Kriyas Shema Shel Arbis, because the concept of creating God awareness at night, during the difficulties and challenges of life, right, is a much greater avoda than going ahead and creating God awareness, saying Shema by day. Therefore, by definition, everything starts at night. Okay, so we're still building on that theme a little bit. Os Hey. So the Rebbe says as follows. This is interesting. Even though we know that the ikar, right, the primary way in which a Jew is makabel ol malchus shamayim. I just want to point out, we've seen this, we're all familiar with this phrase, kabbalas ol malchus shamayim, acceptance of the yoke of heaven. Now, what's beautiful about what Rav Tzadok has done for us is Rav Tzadok has given us a better understanding or definition of what this actually is. Kabbalas ol malchus shamayim means the creation of God awareness. That's what it is. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi samid. I want to go ahead and put HaKadosh Baruch Hu before me at all times. I want to have cognition. I want to be cognizant of the existence of Hashem. See, even though Kriyas Shema is the primary vehicle for this, the Rebbe writes, Mikol Makom, Ein Dai B'kach, I'm reading in Be'erei Chasidus, Elech Yuva Shel Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shamayim B'Shleimus Nimshach Li'olam B'chol Eis U'Lelo Afsaka. The reality is, it's important to understand that as much as Shema is the primary vehicle for God awareness, for Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shamayim, however, lest one think that one only has to have God awareness twice a day, right? When you go to sleep, nighttime Shema, daytime Shema. That's not true. The Rebbe says God awareness, Shivis Hashem Negdi Samid, the cognition of the Ribono Shel Olam in my life has to be something that is perpetual. Has to go on the entire day without any interruption. V'ala adam liros shafilu rega echad lo yozos mimeno hargashas haol v'shibot hamuchlot l'Hashem yisbarach. So we'll say, so what Rav Tzadok is describing over here, this is a profound piece, which we're going to read it, and then afterwards we're going to say to ourselves, how is that actually possible? So Rav Tzadok is saying is the goal in life is to have uninterrupted God awareness at all times. At all times. Now, that's not a chiddush. I understand, of course, that that's my goal. Of course I understand that that's my goal. The issue with this is not what the goal is. What's the issue? It's the actualization of the goal, which is a little bit more complicated. But it is a fascinating... So life is all about setting your goals, right? And then scratching your head and wondering, how am I going to get there? Okay, so then that becomes the avoda of life. How do I get from where I am to where I need to be? But sometimes in life we forget to create for ourselves a clear vision of where we need to be. So where do I need to be with my ruchnius? I need to be in a place where there's a constant, uninterrupted God awareness. There's a constant, uninterrupted, so to speak, Kriyas Shema. Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shamayim. He goes on, he says, Ve'ala Adam Liros, Shafilu Rega Echad Lo Yozos Mimenu Hargashas Ha'ol V'Shiv Lamochot. Kimo She'omrim, Bevidui, listen to this is incredible. And how, by the way, sometimes people ask, now that Yom Kippur is behind us, so when is the time, when does the season of tshuva start again? And of course the answer is, right, Ma'ariv after Ni'ilah, Slach Lanu Avinu Ki Chatanu, Hashivinu Avinu L'Sarasecha. A Yid is in constant state of tshuva. Remember, we spoke of this on Shabbos Shuvah a little bit, which Rav Kook explained. The tshuva is not necessarily just associated with sin. There's a concept of tshuva just as a mechanism of constant coming closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's very important. Therefore, my goal, it was very sweet. I was learning with a Bar Mitzvah boy yesterday, and I asked him, we were talking about the concept of tshuva a little bit. So I said, what's about tshuva? So he said, somebody who wasn't from and now is from. About tshuva. I said, I said, everybody is about tshuva. He had a lot of difficulty wrapping his head around this idea that everybody could be about tshuva. But again, it's incredible. If you think about it, my goal ultimately is to come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu every single day. About tshuva. So look what he writes over here. This is beautiful. So we'll say this is incredible. We just said this al chet repeatedly, just 2 days ago. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha. I'm going ahead and do for the sin that I've sinned before you. Befrikas ol. What does it mean? Befrikas ol, porek ol, throwing off the yoke. Now the truth is, I think many of us we say this one, and what's our reaction to it when we say it? Right, Baruch Hashem. This is one of those. This is actually one of those where I can say, okay, I didn't do this. I did not do this. Well, there's no greater feeling in the world when it comes to an al-chet. And you're like, this is one thing. There's like 3 of them, right? But there's like one thing that I don't have to worry about. So, okay, so sorry. Says Rav Tzadok, what does that mean? I'll tell you. It says, V'hainu, mashenishkach mimenu ha'ol, afilu rega echad ze nechshav kivar lechet. Okay, so this is a little bit overwhelming, right? So now HaTzaddik says it's not true. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha v'frikas all means forgetting about HaKadosh Baruch Hu even for a moment. Now, by the way, that is a dramatic statement for 2 reasons. Number one, the concept of to be porek ol sounds like something that I'm doing. Right? It sounds like an act of repudiation. It doesn't sound like something passive. Yet Rav Tzadok is understanding that befrika sol means if I've forgotten about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's called being porek ol. That is called literally again unloading, prika, unloading the yoke of relationship responsibility of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we'll say this is now. Just remember, right now we're just setting out kind of like the conceptual framework. So Rav Tzadok is creating a spiritual and theological framework where my ultimate avoda is to have constant recognition and constant cognition of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And failure to do so is actually a chet. It's the chet of prikas ol. Ukimosh amar Baal Shem Tov HaPasuk, Ashrei Adam lo yachshov Hashem lo avon. Now this is interesting. So here's the pasuk in Tehillim, right? So how do you translate the pasuk? Praiseworthy is the person Asher lo yachshov Hashem lo avon, who Hashem doesn't count any avera towards him. That's the literal translation of the pasuk. Look what Rav Tzadok does. He's going over the Baal Shem Tov. He says, Sha'adam hu kinui the Baal Madrega Gavoa. So Adam generally is the term that is used for a person on their highest level. Right? There are different names that are descriptive of man. Adam represents a spiritual man. Spiritual man. So Adam hu kinu the Baal Madrega Gavoa. Va'alav Amar David HaMelech ki ashrei lo she'gila Madrega shimpam ira lo shelo yachshov Hashem hainu shelo yachshov al nochachos Hashem yisbarach k'vari chashiv davar ze lo be'inav lo avon. So listen to how the Baal Shem Tov understands the pasuk. He says, Ashrei Adam. Praiseworthy is the person. What's the highest level of ruchnius? So he says, Lo yachshov Hashem, if he fails to think about HaKadosh Baruch Hu even for a moment, lo avon. This is a sin that he would never go ahead and do. So he's doing that last lo as a low prohibition as well. So isn't that an incredible way to read the pasuk? Ashrei Adam, who's the praiseworthy person? The praiseworthy person, lo yachshov Hashem, that if he doesn't think about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if he has a lapse in his God awareness, his God cognition, lo avon. This is an avera that he would never want to transgress. Or to say it in the positive, who is the Ashrei Adam? Who is the most praiseworthy of all individuals? A person who maintains a constant and consistent sense of God awareness. Well, so we'll have to stop over here for today. Right? But Lamaisa, I just want to point out to you, so again, on one hand, beautiful, incredible. The golden life is not only to have God awareness during Shema or during brachos. The golden life is to have God awareness at all times. And actually, failure to have God awareness at all times, says Rav Tzadok, is sinful. Ashrei Adam lo yachshov Hashem lo avon. Beautiful. Now I have to see Me'ez Hashem tomorrow. How do we get that? How do we accomplish this?